Hi there, this is Jen, and thanks for joining me today. Today is the monthly card Hoppin Hop, which is a Facebook group where we get together and once a month do a video hop, or you can do Instagram or a blog if you'd like as well. But we have a different theme and technique every month. If you're interested in joining the group and participating, I'll go ahead and leave the link below. But this month, for the month of September, it's napkins or collage, and the theme is nature. And so I chose for my card to do collage. I will definitely have to try the napkin technique one of these days. It's something that I haven't done before, but it looks like a ton of fun. The next person in the hop will be listed below, as well as the entire hop order, and I would love it if you would show everybody some love. So the images that I'm using today are from a Etsy shop called TandiArt. She has a bunch of really beautiful original images that she creates, and so I purchased them and went ahead and downloaded and printed them at Staples. And so I ran this through my scan and cut machine on the line. I did not leave any border around them, so it didn't do too bad of a job. Some of them weren't great, but it did a really good job of cutting those images out. And for my collage portion, I am using, I'm going to kind of make a little bit of my own collage paper using some tissue paper. This is a great way to kind of customize or make your own tissue paper. I love working with tissue paper. And so I'm going to go ahead and take this VersaFine Claire in the gray color, which I cannot remember off the top of my head what that color is. And I'm taking several stamps from my stash, some scripty, some images, and just stamping randomly all over that piece of tissue paper. And then I will go ahead and tear that up into strips. You can use all kinds of stuff for collage, though. You can use book paper, pattern paper. We've all got lots of paper in our craft rooms, I'm sure, and really you can use whatever type of paper you want for collage. I am going to go ahead and color this a little bit with some watercolors. So the first set of Prima watercolors that I'm using are the complexion set, and I'm just wetting down my brush and grabbing some of that color from the pan and adding it to the tissue paper. The great thing about the tissue paper is there's some areas that you can kind of see through, and some areas that are going to have that color on top of it, and I really love the contrast of that. So I'm just going to color several of the pieces of paper, and then my card panel is actually a watercolor cardstock, and the size that I'm using for that is 4 3/4 by 6.5, kind of a random size. It was cut already, and I thought it would be a good size to work with, so I didn't cut it down any more than that. But the panel, I'm going to go ahead and add some water to that, and then I'm going to use this color, which is called Lemonade. It's got a little bit of a pink tinge to it, and then I added a little bit of black into that by accident. But I'm just going to add that watercolor to my panel, and then I will also grab another Prima palette that is called Terrain, which has a lot of really pretty blues and greens. This is probably one of my favorite color palettes right here. So I'm going to grab a little bit of the green and add that to the panel as well. And I also grabbed the green and used to color some of the tissue paper too. And I'll go ahead and set the panel aside to dry, and then I'm going to take my heat tool and dry up that tissue paper. And then I have this little bag that has all my collage scraps in it, which or just scraps of paper that I have used previously. So I'm going to go ahead and pull a few of those out to use on my card panel. And then I'm also going to take a page from a book. This is an old book that I got from Goodwill. It's great for the words, and so I really love the way that writing looks in the background, and so I'm going to grab a piece of that paper and tear that up a little bit, and then I'm going to start kind of getting my layout on my card panel. And so what I like to do is I like to use the mixed medium matte And I buy the big bottle of Liquitex. It's more cost effective than the tiny little bottle, and so I've just added it to a smaller bottle that's easier to work with. And then I'm just going to start adhering. So I adhere on the bottom first, and then I like to take a brush and use that mat over the top of my paper as well, because what this will do is it will allow you to use water on top of this, and so that mat kind of seals in the paper, so if it gets wet, then it does not kind of tear it up or ruin it. And so I'm going to use a little bit of watercolor on top of this, but if you wanted to use shakers or, you know, color changing powders, I think those are really great to do in pieces like this. And then after I have the mat down, I'm going to go ahead and take some white gesso, and gesso is a great mistake remover. If you don't like something, you'd always cover it up with gesso. I just did a really light coat on this just to lighten up the colors a little bit, and then I'm going to take that terrain palette again and grab a green and add a little bit more watercolor, and then I will take my water bottle and spritz that color to move it around a little bit. And then I'm also going to take the green and add a little bit of a splatter to the background as well, because you can't do anything without that splatter. And then I actually let this dry for quite a while. I did not want to use the heat tool. A lot of times if you use the heat tool with glue already down, that glue will kind of reactivate almost. It will get hot, and it sometimes will make the papers warp, and I didn't want that, and so I just waited quite a bit to let that dry. And then I'm taking a piece of twine and wrapping that around the bottom of the card, and then I'm going to start adding my different images. I'm actually using some acetate leaves as well for this from 49 in the market. They have a great line of acetate, printed acetate. I don't know why, but I just love the printed acetate. I just think it's so fascinating. And so I'm going to add a few leaves from an older set. And to adhere these, since there is a little bit of color and there is color in the background, it's really okay to use a tape runner for this. You're not going to be able to see that through the different colors and layers that are there. And so I'm going to go ahead and just place these leaves where I want them. And then I'm going to grab the a cute little, I'm going to say that's a bear, and add that as well. Right where I have added the twine. And then there's another piece that is kind of a string of hearts, and I'm going to just add a strip of glue behind the hearts and then add that on top of the twine, and then I'll set an acrylic block on there to get that to adhere. And then I grabbed one of the words from the sheet, and that just says love. And then I'm just taking my fingers and kind of curling up some of the edges of the hearts and the edges of the little bear's ears. And then I'll add a few of those flowers from that TandiArt set, and that's going to do it for this card. This was so fun to do. It's just kind of one of those things where you just go along as you go along and make it up as you go. And I think that is just one of the funnest things or funnest ways to create. And so that is it for me. Don't forget to stop by all of the stops today and show some love to all of the participants. As always, if you like this video or found it informative, I would love it if you would give a thumbs up. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you soon.